Hi, I'm Ron Paulk, and this is the Smart Woodshop. Today, I'm going to open this box with this brand new tool from Festool. I'm going to show you everything it comes with, and I'm going to show you every button, every knob, every bolt on it. So if you decide to get this for yourself, you'll know exactly how to use it the minute you get it. Full disclaimer, Festool did send me this saw at no charge. That does not influence my opinion on it. You're only going to hear what I think. Festool has been my choice way back when I had a crew and multiple trailers. We were Festool users back then, long before I started this YouTube channel, which is now about 11 years old. Before I dive into this though, I do need to take a brief pause and thank our sponsor that keeps these videos free of charge. That's right, it's me and the Smart Woodshop. You know, the Smart Woodshop, it's that rolling tool closet. You know, it's the trailer that's all detailed out inside. You've seen lots of videos on it. And also these workbenches, the Paulk Smart Station, the Paulk Smart Bench, as well as all the accessories. This is a complete system. If you want to get a detailed set of plans, a beautiful set of plans to build any or all of those for yourself, you can click on the link in the description of this video. What is a TSC-55-KEB? That's a mouthful. Well, it's pretty straightforward. TSC, track saw, cordless. So it's a battery track saw. 55 millimeters, how deep it cuts. Festool says I think that's about 2 1/8. Sounds about right to me. They also make a 75, just means it cuts 75 millimeters deep. And then the KEB is an acronym. The K, anti-kickback feature. The E is the electronic speed control that's on board. Really fancy, nice motor on this saw. And what it does is it changes its output to keep the blade at a constant speed so you get a really clean cut and no burning. The B is for brake. So when you let go of the trigger on this saw, within 2 seconds, the blade comes to a complete stop rather than just that slow spinning down. So now you know what it stands for. Let's see what's in the box. First off, the box itself is a Sustainer 3. Sustainer is a toolbox company that actually Festool started. They own, not to be overlooked, the lid. In the lid, they give you all kind of great information. This is the one that I've been using currently, and it's also cordless. I've had this one since it came out. I'm going to say it was 2015, 2016, something like that. Really put this through its paces. So anything I tell you about this, as far as how it works, I learned with many, many hours of running 2 previous Festool TSC-55. These are really cool batteries, very different than all of my other Festool batteries. Same amp hours, these are 5.2, but they're Bluetooth, which is really cool. I'll talk about that in a minute. And also, it has the power indicator, how charged up the battery is on board the battery. The charger, this is the TCL6. I'm going to plead ignorance on this. I'm not sure what the difference is. I know the 6 is physically larger than the 3. I think I'll do a separate video, do my homework, and find out what the difference is. This is a track stop. This actually goes on the track so that you can either start the saw at a certain point or stop it. You can get another one of these and have a stop and start. Threaded knob and a little green plate. I know exactly what this is. I'll show you in a minute. Whole bunch of paperwork. The accessories before the saw. So I've already mentioned the charger, Bluetooth batteries. The advantage of these over my previous batteries, all my other batteries, and I think I have about a dozen or so. You can see that this is 5.2 amp hours, 18 volt, 5.2 amp hours, 18 volt. But this one is an Airstream, and that's the Bluetooth. If you're running a cordless saw, obviously you're not plugged into the vacuum, so there's no turning the vacuum on. When you squeeze the power on a corded tool, it's plugged into the vacuum. It triggers the vacuum on, and then when you let go of the tool, it turns it off, but it lets it run for a few seconds to clear out the dust. Great system. I've got it set up here. I've got a Festool vac there on the Paulk Smart Station. The table saw is hooked into it. The miter saw is hooked into it. When any one of these are activated, it comes on. That's the way they've worked for a long, long time. My vacuums don't have Bluetooth built into them, but one of my vacuums is a little bit newer than the other ones, and it can be upgraded. It's got a blank plate on it with 4 bolts, and I can pull those, buy the module, plug it in, put the 4 bolts in, and then my vacuum will be Bluetooth. So I'm going to get that, and I will do a separate video on it, show you how that works. The old batteries that I have will run the new saw, and the new batteries will run the old saw. I've tried it out, it works. It takes 2 batteries to run the saw. 1 battery will run it at a little slower speed. It has to be in the lower slot. So you can see it won't run it in the upper slot. This little thing here, what's this? Well, on the side of the saw here, there's a little window. And in this window, there's a line. When you push this down, you can see that where the edge of the blade is where that mark is. That's very helpful if you're doing plunge cuts and you want to stop or start at a certain point. And there is a line on the back of the housing that shows you where the back of the blade is. I got one of these with this saw, but I don't know where it is because I never use it. I automatically put these on, which came with it. And this is the chip guard for the outside of the blade on the top of your material. You know, with any circular saw, the blade is turning and cutting up. So you're going to get your tear out on the top. So this then snugs up to the outside of the blade. So that side of the cut then is improved. It's a very clean cut with this. Simply put it in the slot. Take the knob that they provide, and then all you have to do is loosen it up and push it down so you'll have it sitting on your track, so you'll push this down on your material. If I were cutting this bench, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I would push it all the way down to where, if this were the material I was cutting, I'd push it down there, tighten it up, and now there'll be pressure on that side of the cut when the fibers want to lift a little bit. Now, what about the inside of the cut? So you've got one side of the blade, we're protected. The inside of the blade, it's with the track. As with all Festool, they're black and green. The green things are how you interact with the tool. They mean you get to do something there with them. So to start with, there is this trigger, and it is just a lock, trigger lock for your thumb. You push on that. You can see right now the saw is locked. It will not plunge. When I push that, now it'll plunge into the material. Of course, you want to pull the trigger to start the motor at the same time. And so then as you plunge in, you can make your cut. Now, how deep you plunge is determined by this green slide on this scale. So this slide will determine how deep the cut is. If I set it to 1/4 inch, then it's going to go down 1/4. But you go, that looks like a lot more than 1/4. Well, it is from the base. But there's 2 sides to this scale. One side is FS. That is when it's on the FS track because it's riding above the material. And so the scale takes that into account. The right side of the scale is when you're right on top of the material. So that's how you can determine how deep your cut's going to be accurately. Now, one thing I want to point out about this scale that I don't really like, but this is a US version of the saw. In my previous version, they did not do US versions. They're worldwide, were the same. It was metric. I much prefer that, but this is what I'm stuck with. On the flip side, for the depth of the cut, I'm not that particular. It's not a finished dimension thing. I'm going to cut a little bit deeper, you know, so if the material is 18 millimeters, I'm going to be setting it to 20 or so. So, you know, I can easily just go 13/16 or whatever, just a little deeper so I get a good cut on the bottom. On this slide, there is a black knob that you can spin. That just fine tunes this scale. So it comes from the factory setup. It's zeroed out, which means that when you're sitting, in this case, on the side that's on this, when you push it down at 0, it just touches your material. When you get your blade sharpened, they get a little smaller, not a lot, but a little, and get it sharpened again a little because the carbide is being filed down. So you can dial this so that it's right on, so you can trust these dimensions. The scale for the bevel is on the front, very easy to read. All you do is loosen the knob on the back and loosen the knob on the front. It'll rotate from 0, where it has a hard stop, and all the way to 45, where it has a hard stop. It has the pointer. You can read very well to stop anywhere along the way, but there are no detents, no stops on it. Now, it will go beyond 45. It'll go to 47 if you need to overcut. Knob or a lever on the back, you pull it out. Now it will rotate over to past 45. It'll go all the way to 47. Actually undercut by 1 degree by simply pulling this lever up and then rotating it that 1 degree and locking it down. So you got a nice range there, but what I like about both the back lever for going past 45 and the front for going negative of 0 is once you go away from them, they snap back in a lock. So no chance of error there. Each time you want to go past, you have to pull that knob in the back or flip that lever in the front. Everything I've shown you so far I have on this saw. That's why I'm so familiar with it. There's a new button here on this saw that this saw does not have. It's right here on the motor. This is your anti-kickback. It looks like a riving knife, but it isn't. When this is down on your material or down on your track, this sensor is up in there, but as soon as the saw starts to lift for a kickback, that will drop down. It will bring the blade to a stop. It's automatically on. Green light comes on, it tells me that it's in that mode. If I push that button, it turns yellow. Now if I turn it on, it was yellow, but as soon as it goes off, it's back to green. So just like the stops on the scale, the turning it off is a one-time deal. You have to turn it off every single time. The Fast Fix, I love this thing. It's one of my favorite things. I've had it on my other saws. It is just for changing the blade. So you open this up and behind it is the 5mm wrench, but it's a lot more than just wrench storage. It's a lockout. So now when I push down on this, of course I have to put the scale all the way down so it'll go down, it locks. And notice I saw the batteries on, but you can't accidentally turn on the blade. So you could remove the batteries for extra safety, but once it's locked there, it's locked out. And now the bolt for the spindle or the arbor is right in that window where you need it. But more important than that, the blade is locked. I don't need to hold the spindle lock and find it and hold that in while I'm trying to remove it. So now I can just pop it off. The washer has some tabs on it. It can only go on one way. No way to put this thing on improperly. Now, I went ahead and pulled the blade off because this is the primary reason I contacted Festool and requested this saw. I think, from what I understand, I don't know this personally, that this is the biggest upgrade, the nicest upgrade to go from this saw to this saw. I have a video up on this channel that one of the Smart Woodshop family, Kevin Criswell, did. He dropped and broke his TSC-55 like this one. He needed one right away. He was getting it repaired, but he needed another one, so he bought a new one. He got this one, and he was blown away at the blade. It's a thinner blade than on this. It's like less than 1.9, I think, somewhere in there. It's double the power of this one just because of the reduced resistance of this thinner blade. It also cuts faster, and according to Kevin, it does much better at dust collecting, and I'm guessing that's because there's less dust. Less resistance, thinner blade, less dust. You don't need to tighten that too much, just a little snug and you're good. And now I'll just put my wrench back in and do the Fast Fix. It resets the lock, the blade is in, and again, no tools. I mean, these tools are just thought out from top to bottom. When you have a crew and you're paying, master carpenters a pretty good wage, It's nice to have tools that keep them moving and create good work. They don't have to repeat, but also just a tool that's very efficient. There is one more set of adjustments I want to show you, and that is these two green dials on the base plate. I'll need the track to show you what that's for. When you get the saws from the factory, they are dialed. So there's no side-to-side play, and so you get a nice straight cut. But if for some reason it gets off or it's too tight, you can adjust that. Now I'm going to pull this lower battery off so that I have access. What you can do is tighten them all the way down, both of them at the same time. And now you can see the saw. I can move it if I really push on it, but it's way too tight. And then I'm just going to back them off together until I get a smooth, non-restrictive float. So see, now the saw moves very smoothly without any effort, and it doesn't have any side-to-side play. The base of the saw doesn't need any lubricant at all. In fact, it doesn't ride on the aluminum base. It rides on these green phenolic plastic. I don't know exactly what they are, but they are some kind of super slick material. And I wish I would have gotten out my other 1400 because I have I've never replaced these. They're working as good as the day I got them. And we're talking about miles and miles of cuts. So again, the base of the saw rides on these. These are slightly taller than the track itself, and they fit right in these grooves. As I was editing this video, I realized I missed one feature, and that is the speed control for the blade. So on 6, full power, and then if I rotate it all the way down to 1, it slows it down, and of course, anywhere in between. That is everything about the saw that I know right now. There's one thing missing that I want to point out in the kit that I have. I'm going to put this kit in my store, my Amazon store, with an affiliate link. Again, if you use it, Amazon will share a little bit with us, not charge you anymore. It's a good way to support the channel without costing you any extra. I'm going to see if they have a kit with exactly what I have here, but also the dust bag included in the kit. If they do, that'll be the kit I link. If they don't, then I'll link this kit so you'll see exactly what I have here, and then I will put this as an option. I don't consider this optional. Yes, I am looking forward to using the Bluetooth on the vacuum. There are situations where I really want to get all that dust. But for a lot of the cutting I do, this saw is so quick to just grab and use for cutting the bottoms of doors and things. And I do want it dust free. And this thing with this has been very nice. The only negative is the bag fills up very quick because it collects dust so efficiently. And if what Kevin said, that it's less dust out of this one than that one, I'm assuming it'll even work better on this one. Again, check that out in the future. I'll let you know. And you can just flip, they designed it so you can lock it down and it lays nice and flat. I mean, I chose Festool a long time ago because I like their engineering. I like what they do. And they really have almost single-handedly brought innovation into tools to be taken out into the field. They've come up with ways to take what would be big shop tools, like a sliding table saw, and converted it into a track saw. And they did this in 1980. So that's why now other companies are copying it, because their patent ran out. But these guys, I think I read that the two guys that started Festool, which didn't start as Festool, it was a combination of their names, Fez and Stoll. So it was Festool, and then later on they added the OL. But in 1925, they came out with a chainsaw, a portable saw that you could take out in the field to cut lumber and things like that. So even way back in 1925, they were thinking about taking the power of machinery and the accuracy of machinery to the project where you need it to work rather than having to bring the project to where the tools work. So I just love what they've done, and their innovation has helped all the other tool companies come out with, their tools that are great as well. If you enjoyed this tool deep dive, then be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe, ring the bell so you will know when I put up a new video. Most important, share this video or this channel with somebody you know to help us grow our subscriber base. Thanks for dropping into the Smart Wood Shop. You stay safe and have a great day.